I would like to invite Mary Duffy. So I'm very lucky also. I am writing to the work of Claudine Pommier, and her work is right here behind me. I wrote to this beautiful picture of a sibling carrying a sibling. It reminded me of my two daughters. There's 7 years between them. And the younger one would say to the older one, carry me, carry me. And she always did. And I got placed next to the one over there in the corner. Again, it looks like two siblings and a mom. And so my first poem, I bought 2 copies of this beautiful book, which is courtesy of Bonnie, Linda, Helen, Raisa, and so many more people, all the artists. I'm going to give them on Mother's Day, and this is the poem. I'm very happy that was inspired. Patterns. Each day the older sister would walk with the younger, wading through sand into the ocean, but the waves were always besting the little one, lapping and licking feet, chasing her back up the beach until the day her sister lifted her up. The little one, clinging, was carried into the water, dipping and splashing, delighting in the new world, lurking just below the surface, indigo starfish simmering. Every night, the younger sister told tales of 3 bears before bedtime for almost a year, as if reciting evening prayers. Although the suspense must have been terrible, the eldest listened each evening to her own Scheherazade. Would Mama's porridge still be too cold? Papa's chair always so uncomfortable? Most importantly, would she ever find a bed that was just right and finally fall asleep? Today they meet in cafes, share stories of mayflies who incubate for a year, mate for a day, then die, agree that every minute counts. Then they reflect on Raven's face memory, look up to gaze at each other, surprised by the patterns, the sister's recognition. And the second poem is also Claudine Pommier's Painted Houses, Lisbeth's house over there. And this time last year I was in South Africa and having a connection to South Africa. I was in an organization called the Coalition Against Apartheid for a very long time, and finally got to go to South Africa last year. I connected to Lisbeth's house, and I'm from the East Coast, grew up in Newfoundland and moved to Nova Scotia, so her painted house really resonated with me because of course all the houses are multi-colorful. So the first part of the poem is for Maud Lewis, Marshalltown, Nova Scotia. Maud paints the place where the sun rises. The walls of her house invite the world inside. Every surface becomes her canvas. Vines climb up the stairs, flowers bloom on a bread box, a dustpan, her doorway, even in winter. My mother's house, Southern Harbor, Newfoundland. Whenever he smells lumber, my brother travels back to our first days, weeks, even years in the new harbor, as houses we remembered rolled onto logs, dragged down hills, floated across the water, pine protecting wallpaper, weeping at the leaving. Fragile skeletons, our home grew up with us, bones stretching to reach our mother in overalls, scarf tied round her hair, painted down to meet us in pink-cheeked and ecru rooms, clothing walls with rollers soaked in milky paint, dressing up gyprock, except for that one naked spot halfway up the stairs. What happened there? Then that final room, blonde wood turning gray, sighing and waiting for a single caress of paint. And so thank you, Claudine, for Lisbeth's painted house over there and everybody else tonight. It's wonderful.